Hey everybody, Matt Rosenthal, IT and cybersecurity professional and CEO of Mindcore Technologies. And today I want to speak with you about something that is really, really important. And it's something that I guarantee you that you're concerned about. I guarantee you that everybody that works in your firm is concerned about, and you all experience it. What is that? It's when a phishing email comes in. How can I tell it's a phishing email? What should I look out for? Like, what does that specific email have that gives it away? So there's at least seven different things, but I'm going to share with you 7 things that could jump out at you if you're aware and you're alert and you're kind of looking for them. So the first thing you should look at is the from field. So I was speaking with somebody yesterday who was actually telling me about how something happened to them where somebody was spoofing their email address. So the recipient took it as, oh, this person is emailing me, and they were sending along invoices. And the invoices actually had addresses that had nothing to do with the actual accounting firms. Had the person on the receiving end not noticed that the from address was formatted with something that was not familiar to them, they wouldn't have picked it up. So what do? You look at the from address, you look at the domain, at whatever, make sure it makes sense. Look at the person's name, make sure that the formatting of the name makes sense. If you know that somebody's working at abc.com and the email address that comes from them says xyz.com, it's a good chance that it didn't come from the company that you expected it to come from. So look at that. Like, pay attention to that from address. So the second thing is the to address. What you want to look for there is the CC field. Like, who else is CC'd? Who else is copied? Is there somebody else in your company that's copied? Are you actually copied? There's something about that will jump out at you. It's just not typical, right? You get emails all the time and you see somebody write you an email, it's very normal, and you see how the address looks. You don't always look at that copy field. So I'm encouraging you to pay attention to the copy field, to the to field and the copy field. So just pay close attention to that. So the third thing you should watch out for are attachments. And the most important thing is, are you expecting the attachment? So when you get an email from a particular person, if the from field looks good, the to field looks good, everything seems like, yeah, it's okay, but there's an attachment. Do you typically get those? Are you expecting an attachment? So if you're not, be very careful when you open it. Be very careful how you open it. What I oftentimes will do is I'll open that in maybe in my cloud desktop or on my mobile phone, but I won't open it on my computer. Or what you could do is forward that to your IT department and say, hey, just want to make sure this is okay. Just be careful, because when you do click on an attachment, it could actually allow somebody to penetrate your network and to get control of your computer. So be careful with those attachments. The next item is the subject. Okay, so when you look at the subject, is the subject relevant? Does it make sense to you? The person that's sending you that email, would they write that to you? Is that the tone that they speak in? Now, you may not know the person. It may be from American Express or maybe from a bank. But even so, you can kind of tell from the subject. If that subject says, click here to reset your password, well, you know you didn't request a password reset. So why are you getting that email about a password reset, right? So that brings us to the next topic, which is content. If you get an email that says click here to reset your password, and then you scroll down and you see that there's a link in there, you want to be very, very careful to focus on what the body of that email has in it, especially if there's a link, or if they're asking you to enter information, such as like type in your credit card number, type in your address, like any personally identifiable information, which is called PII. If they're asking you for that, when you get down to the content of the email, huge red flag. You absolutely should not do anything they're asking you. If anything, for example, if it's a credit card company, pick up the phone, if you even have that credit card, and call the credit card company. Right? Just be very, very careful. They could pass the from test, it could pass the to test, it could pass the subject test, but it doesn't pass the content test. Next thing is hyperlinks. I kind of touched on those a minute ago, but very specifically, anything you click could potentially cause something to allow somebody else to get into your network. It's very simple. Do not click on a link in an email. Huge red flag when you see a link in an email, even if it passes all these tests. This is where social engineering, where they really take advantage of your trust. They take advantage of you wanting to maybe get work done quickly, or something about you, how you're feeling at the moment. You may just be like, all right, fine, I'll click on this and I'll just put in the information they're asking for. The second you do that, you just opened a can of worms. So content, I think out of all of these, is probably one of the most important things, because that's where you're actually doing something that can actually allow somebody else to get in. They can take control of your email. They can take control of your computer. They can actually penetrate and traverse your entire company's network. They can encrypt all the files on your server. I mean, it's super damaging. So there's nothing anybody can do to stop you from clicking on something. Only you can stop you from doing that. Last thing is the date. Be very careful to look at the date in an email. Okay, that can be manipulated, and it may just be a simple, small red flag. This is one of the more unusual ones, but it can cause you to say, hey, wait a minute. The date on this was like yesterday, or the date on this is tomorrow. You would not get an email from anybody for tomorrow today, right? It doesn't even make sense. People make mistakes, but this is something you have to watch out for. Or if it came from 2 weeks ago, more likely that's the scenario. So those 7 red flags are the key ones to look for. We have several other videos on social engineering, super important topic, but if you're the CEO of your company, if you're the executive, if you're the decision maker, you don't need to be an expert on all these things. What you need to be is somebody who understands it enough to take it seriously so that you can educate and you can inform and you can pass all this information on to the people that work in your company. And if you're not one of the leaders in the company, but you are a part of a team, just remember that these things are things you have control over. You can check all of these things. Your awareness can stop a major, major problem from happening that could bring the company down for days, potentially weeks. In some cases, it becomes unrecoverable. So I want to thank you again for watching this video. I want to again point out how important this topic is and just share with you that you do have the power to actually have an impact on the future of your company with cybersecurity. So take it seriously, and I hope this was helpful. Thank you again for watching.